two more in the fold. Brashard Smith, you've analyzed and certainly set us up for his commitment. Thomas Davis, not quite as much information on him, at least in our conversations. So, Brashard Smith, your take.
Brashard Smith is a guy that Miami should have gotten, pretty much. This is a guy that's analogous to a lot of maybe smaller receivers here recently. He's 5'8.5", 190 pounds. So he's short, but he's thickly built. And he's fast. He's like special kind of fast. Not myself, but looking at other comparisons of his speed, he's been favorably compared to Tyreek Hill, favorably compared to Henry Ruggs, favorably compared to Marquise Hollywood Brown in terms of speed. Look, man, that's game-breaking speed. I can take it the distance on any play, kickoff return, punt return. If you want to hand me the ball, if you want to pitch me the ball, if you want to throw me the ball on a short pass, intermediate pass, long pass, in space next to somebody, whatever, that speed he runs past angles of fast guys in South Florida that you'll see on his highlight film. You can see in a couple of the games, these big time teams that, and he's one of the guys from Palmetto also as well, in addition. So you can see, Palmetto plays a very good schedule. They play a high caliber classification of football. And Brashard Smith is running away from guys. Somebody posted up a hook and lateral of Jason Marshall on the hook and the lateral going to Brashard Smith from when they were in Optimus ball. So this is like middle school football. When Jason Marshall, who's one of the other of the Palmetto Five, 6'3" cornerback, he's a bigger wide receiver, obviously, and he pitched it to little diminutive Brashard Smith. And even from Optimus ball, this guy is missing. Gone. And if you're talking about keeping these guys home, that's huge. If you're talking about adding speed and skill in space players to this team, that's huge to be able to get him. So, I made the comparison. For everybody who was mad that Miami did not go after Isaiah Joystick McKenzie from American Heritage years ago, and instead at that same slot got Braxton Berrios, who had a very, very good career here. But if you wanted that guy locally, you got him. Also as well, if you're, earlier, Miami was going after Christian Leary from Orlando Edgewater, a very, very fast player. He chose Alabama. But you get the guy who's almost pretty much equal, but the local version, you take the local kid every time. If all things are being equal. I did see Christian Leary, and I made that comparison on Twitter as well. Somebody found a tweet of Christian Leary saying he wants to race Brashard Smith to see who's faster. Now, I had some other people, some track people say, hey, if I'm talking 40 or 60, I'm taking Brashard. If we're talking 100 meters, I'm taking Christian Leary. But they're that same kind of fast where it's in that kind of conversation. And you go look up the highlights of any of the players I've mentioned. Isaiah McKenzie, Christian Leary, Henry Ruggs III, Hollywood Brown, or Tyreek Hill. Go look up their highlights and look at how fast they are. These are the players that he's compared to on the basis of speed. You cannot denigrate that take. You cannot talk badly about it. It's a huge win. He's a local guy. He goes to Palmetto as one of those guys of the Palmetto Five that we've been talking about for the longest time. So you have Brashard Smith, committed. Savion Collins, committed. Well, people were talking about him maybe going to Florida earlier. Who knows if that momentum has been slowed. Then you got Jason Marshall. Miami is still chasing. Corey Collier. Miami's in the final three, but probably not as high chasing because why? You got Cameron Kinchins and you got James Williams at safety already. And then you got Leonard Taylor, who's announcing on August the 6th. And all signs are pointing towards, it seems, that Miami is pulling in front for him. And he's a 5-star defensive tackle. So, in terms of Brashard Smith, it's just every way that you look at it, it's good. Whether you're talking about high school connection, whether you're talking about his individual ability and speed, it's just a good get. It's a good take, and he just adds a dynamic element to this offense. And this is what I've been talking about with Malik Curtis from Bishop Verreau, who Miami apparently is recruiting as a cornerback in this current class. The speed is similar with him as well. And this is what I'm talking about having Malik Curtis play offense instead of defense. But, hey, we'll see. The other one that committed since the last time we talked was Thomas Davis. He's a 3-star edge from Valdosta Lowndes High School. Their quarterback is a 2022 kid named Ja'Curry Brown, who's incredible. I forget who they played. I think it was Northwestern or Miami Central. One of the two teams went up there, and he hung crooked numbers on them in a nasty, nasty video game kind of a way. Anyway, Thomas Davis was the defensive player of the year in his region. I think he had 17 sacks. He played some slot receiver / tight end. And I think he had like a 95-yard touchdown, but he's running away from guys at, 6'5" 235. So he's a little shorter than you would like. He's almost a little tweenerish. So maybe, you play some games with him at the end of the line, whether you're going to be in a 30 front or a 40 front. Is his hand going to be down? Is he going to stand up? These are things that we've done with Trent Harris before, because he was not an overwhelming physical specimen at that defensive end spot either. But and physically, I mean, in terms of height and length. In terms of speed, however, speed and quickness, Thomas Davis has it in spades. So you add another guy to the defensive line group in a dynamic defender. Again, you're playing in South Georgia. You're playing some of the best high school football around between Florida teams and Georgia teams and even maybe some Alabama teams, because it's that far south. You're not that far away from, East Alabama. But I mean, Davis, is just another good get. He's another player, and he does not need to come in and play day one. We can figure out what we're going to do with him and develop him along the path, just because defensive line or defensive end, along with safety, Miami's just been stacking elite talent on elite talent on elite talent. And we did that, with getting Davis, which is one of the recruiting rules of what we need to do in the add Brashard Smith. I mean, speed kills. It's one of the recruiting rules. I think that's recruiting rule number 4. You cannot have too much speed. I mean, and if you want to talk about it, I didn't mention him in that prior point about Brashard Smith. Tutu Atwell. That's a guy, he played high school quarterback and everything, but you see him at Louisville. That kid is different kind of fast. And I think Brashard Smith is faster. So, yeah.
So, Cam, my approach, and people that watch me on a regular basis know my approach is to know the current college football personnel and historically. So I keep up with what's going on right now, and I keep up historically. In terms of what's happening in the future, mainly recruiting, I leave it to guys like Cam, and he is at the very, 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 very top of the list in regards to who I respect to bring out here to provide insight and information, not just on Miami recruiting, but it obviously, because of who they're targeting, goes to other locations. So I'm not a recruiting guy. So from talking to me many, many times here, what my first go-to information is. I go to the 247 Sports Composite, and it tells me Brashard Smith is the 57th best wide receiver in the country. You're rating him with not just necessarily great players at the collegiate level and potentially impact players at the NFL level. We shall see. Hollywood Brown and others. Who did you mention? Tyreek Hill, already a great player in the NFL. But when I see 57th rated, I'm still trying to think, okay, 3 to 4 starters per team, 75 in the Power 5. There's about 210 or more, 250 starting wide receivers in the country. He's a top 57 player at wide receiver. It just doesn't seem that lofty for what you and others are saying about Brashard Smith.
I mean, 60 out of 210 is top third, because 70 would be in the top third if you were to go that route, just on those numbers. But he's a specialized player, So if you're looking for, in terms of wide receiver recruiting rankings, you're going to look for everybody's All-American. The Amon Richards is 6'2", 190 pounds, sub 440, can jump over guys, which we saw Amon do before. Unfortunately, he had to medically retire and things like that, where it's going up for a jump ball, whether at Notre Dame, he literally hurdled a guy and kept going, things like that. And the physical size, you're going to want it to be more prototypical. So 5'11" and up, really probably that 6', 6'1" and up, you're going to look for those traits. And that's going to be a big part of the evaluation. So you have a guy who's 5'9" on a good day. Like I said, he's 190 pounds, so he's thickly built. Like, you look at him, he's short, not small. Okay, so it's like Barry Sanders, like Darren Sproles is short but not small, and you have that kind of thing with Brashard Smith in terms of, yes, he is shorter than you would like, but he's not a small guy, but he's really fast. But when you have these Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, AJ Green, number 1 overall wide receivers, You put him anywhere in any offense at any one of those positions, X, Y, Z, slot, doesn't matter, and they're going to do numbers. Brashard Smith, you're not necessarily going to – you might be able to put him everywhere because he has the speed, but you're going to have to use him in a certain way because of the speed and because of he has that elite speed but the lack of height pairing. And there is a little bit of that goes into it. And like I wrote in the Welcome to the U piece, you can put Brashard at kick returner, punt returner. You can put him at running back. You can put him at a second running back. You can put him in the slot. You can put him in, and in high school, they go 3-by-1 a lot at Palmetto. So 3 receivers to the one side and then 1 to the other side. He'll be number 3, as in the closest to the offensive tackle. So not the outside, not the slot. He'll be the third receiver to that side. He'll play the number 3 and still do numbers. So you can put him at 1, 2, or 3 if you're going on a trip side. You can put him at the point of the diamond if you're going to go in that kind of formation. You can put him in a lot of different places, but you're going to probably have to scheme him because he's not going to just jump over dudes. You're not going to throw a fade to him and he's going to just, again, I'm on Richards. We could we just say, hey, go get it. It doesn't even have to be a great throw. You don't even have to go be open. Just out athletic this guy because you're 6'2" and can jump out of the gym. Brashard Smith does not have that height, and I think that that's a big part of it. But when you look at him as an offensive weapon, and this is the position that I've been talking about I wanted Miami to have for years, and it goes back to, and even before, Joystick McKenzie, because you can put him in any of these places, and on any given play, you give the kid the ball, you're queuing up the band and changing the scoreboard because it's a touchdown. And I think that dynamic ability, you have to really know what you're doing to unlock it, and you have to use it sparingly. Not sparingly, but like carefully and intentionally. Think of it like a ghost chili pepper. It works. It's very flavorful. It is a wonderful addition to your meal if you use it right at the right time in the right amount. But you're not just going to put all of it all over everything on your scrambled eggs every day because it doesn't have that kind of utility.
He's not the featured receiver that's going to catch 12 in any given game or 70 for the season. He almost sounds in utilization like a Dexter McCluster.
Absolutely. Oh, if we used him like Dexter McCluster, but even a little bit more by integrating him into like the return game. Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. Perfect comparison.
Wow. I just pulled that out. Ole Miss, Kansas City Chiefs.